One and all, hope you're doing well. I could be wrong on this, but we could potentially come down to this support very sideways there on the daily view. The fact that we might come down, it just give us a little bit of breathing room for the bears, because otherwise there's not going to be many more bears left, and we need like a market. We need two sides of the equation. If there's no bears, then there's not really a narrative to push price higher. If we come down, it'll just induce more positions, and then we can have a nice bounce. Note that the 21 moving average is ascending, so potentially at 3949 is where it hits the moving average, or 3912, which is our horizontal support. Hope you understand why that's important. We had a double top there. Obviously that was fake and it induced positions, rallied, and it's sort of going a little bit choppy, bit of consolidation there. So be careful. And S&P, well, we had a zone because that's where they shorted it. So it would be unusual to see price below that. Yesterday's video told us the reason for that, the logic, and it should hold. But if they go long, then we'll break, and then we'll create a new zone above, and then it'll be at 4,000-ish. So perhaps that candle there will be our... Actually, no, they're going along here, aren't they? So it'll be here. 3989 will be resistance. But it all depends what happens here. If they sell it, then this will act as a good support, because they would have sold it, and then they would have sold it again. So it's like a place where they've shorted it twice. So it's quite a strong support. Depends what happens here. Get a copy of the trading station, you can see what happens. Otherwise, you won't know, and you'll just be guessing. US 30. And it held yesterday's zone, the box it held, which is fine, and hopefully that's clear why, because they shorted it, and so that's acting as a support. If we fell below, it would just mean that they get paid, and it can happen, but it would be unusual. So that's that logic there. DAX, oh God, I would be tempted to short this, but it's just incredibly risky. We are a buy at the big picture. Technically, we've definitely broken that trend line, and we created a zone above. Yeah, I don't think I've got enough. I don't think I'm brave enough to short this. But if you wanted to, 15,184 would be a stop loss. It's about a 90-point stop loss, so it could be quite painful. However, you've got an awesome risk to reward. You're potentially looking at some of these supports take profit. So it's all about entry, but you can see why we did that wick, that zone there. So interesting. So maybe it could be a good short, but I personally am not going to take it, because we are a buy at the big picture, and we know what the retail guys are like. Every time it falls, they're quick to short it. See? And they're just quick to short it. And when they do short it, it rallies using that as a support. Gold, bit sideways, but we can see how that held as a resistance. See, they went long, so therefore that should have held. 1920 was going to be a decent resistance there, and it looks like we are falling ever so slightly. It's been quite reluctant to fall. Remember, the cut data was quite bullish on gold, so be careful. Euro, well, they shorted it, so we're going to create a new zone, a new box, and that's going to be a support. Where did they go? Pretty much here. Yeah, so here-ish. So, potentially this is going to act as support. The fact that they sold it. So, we might just go a little bit sideways and, do something like this. But, yeah, so it looks like it's going to be a buy, because it's a buy in the big picture. We're below 50%, and they shorted it. So that agrees with the static nature. So yeah, this should be a good support. So potentially 108.10, 108.08 or something like that could be a stop loss. And then that's the logic there. Dollar yen, well, they shorted it, and they're shorting it again. So we can still have that one as a support. I think we haven't really got a crossover yet. If we had a crossover, then we could create a box, but we haven't got a crossover yet. So hopefully that helps. Be careful here. It's not really telling us much. They are going long, but we haven't really had a sufficient crossover at the moment. US 30, it looks like they might go sideways and then sell it. If they sell it, this will be a good support. DAX, got to be careful because at the big picture we are a buy. It's a huge bull run, and this could be fake. This could be fake. So it's tricky to say. Technically speaking, good resistance, but sentimentally, it all depends what they do, isn't it? And gold sideways, so that's still resistance. I have a tiny, tiny position on this, which I made risk free, but there's 1920 stop loss. It's just a micro lot. I had such low confidence on the trade. I had the smallest possible size you could imagine on that. So I didn't publish it because I didn't have any confidence on that trade. But we know 1920 should be a good resistance. Okay, and support here for EU and support for UJ there. And this is going to be tested at the BOJ, I think. So trade carefully, and we'll see what the trade of the day, how it performs today. Very tricky. Pound USD should fall, but if the Euro USD rallies, it will pull Pound USD up with it, and then maybe Pound can appreciate a little bit. So as trade of the day, might be a bit tricky, and we'll have to see how we go. So eyes on the Pound, I think, and eyes on the CAD data later, and then the yen. So if you've got yen exposure, be very careful overnight, okay? And I'll speak to you guys soon.